A new DNA study supports the Holy Bible. It says that Canaanites of ancient Israel were a homogeneous group and they lived in Israel. Study analyzed individuals who lived over the course of a significant period of time, over 1,500 years, according to Jerusalem Post, and this on WND. Where did the Canaanites come from? A newly published study shed light on the genomic features of the ancient population of southern Levant, an area that covers modern-day Israel and the surrounding region, confirming that the biblical people were indeed a clear and homogeneous group and supporting the archaeological findings. Moreover, the research showed that many present-day populations of the area have ancestries from groups whose ancient proxy can be related to the Middle East of this area. The beginning of the book of Genesis narrates that God ordered the patriarch Abraham back then Abram, and then he changed his name to Abraham, meaning that he was blessed, to leave his native land of Haran and embark on a journey to a land, God said, I will show you. When they arrived in the land of Canaan, Abram passed through the land as far as the site of Shechem, at the terebinth of Moreh. The Canaanites were then in the land. This is read from verse 5 and 6, chapter 12. Archaeologists indeed concur that around the 2nd millennium BC, or the Middle Late Bronze Age, when, according to some interpretations, Abraham lived, the Canaanites had a major presence in what later became known as the land of Israel. The Bronze Age was a very formative period in the history of southern Levant, so we're curious to look into them, said Liram Carmel, professor at the Hebrew University of Jerusalem, one of the lead authors of the paper published Thursday in the journal Cell. That's what he told Jerusalem Post, explaining why the group of researchers chose to focus on this specific population. He said 6 or 7 years ago, the new field of what we call molecular history emerged with the idea of using ancient DNA to reveal patterns in more recent human history, the last few thousand years. At the beginning, the research focused on events that happened in Europe and Western Eurasia. He said, I thought that I really wanted to bring it here to study demographic events and populations in this region. The study analyzed individuals who lived over the course of a significant period of over 1,500 years. Carmel said they started to conceive this project 5 years ago, but collecting samples was a long process. The group of researchers managed to extract DNA of 73 individuals. Their remains were found in 5 archaeological sites, including the area of Tel Megiddo. That's located in northern Israel. Tel Megiddo, Tel meaning mountain. Tel Megiddo was once home to one of the most important Canaanite cities, and the excavations have uncovered remains of a palace, a town gate, and a sophisticated water system, among other items. He said, we were afraid it would be very difficult to obtain DNA because the climate in Israel is not very hospitable for this preservation. But when we started the project, it was discovered that there's a certain bone in the skull, the petrous bone, which is more likely to provide DNA samples. We decided to focus on that, he said, and with this technique, we had a success rate of about 50%, which is good. Also, the new DNA samples show the group was employed previously reporting data from 20 other specimens from the site for a total of 93 specimens. Even though Canaanites lived in different state cities, archaeological evidence has always suggested that they presented a common material culture, and indeed the paper explains this homogeneity was found mirrored also in their genetic ancestry. Carmel said that they are now looking into conducting similar studies on other population groups that emerged a little later in the region. He said there were all these kingdoms that were established in the area in the Iron Age: Israel, Judah, Moab, Ammon, Edom. We'd like to consider them, but it's a big challenge to find samples, so that's what we're looking for to work on now, he said. If you'd like to join me on my Patreon account, You will hear content not covered by mainstream media. These riveting stories will be based on my research, and I will state my opinions and give my personal insight on diverse and controversial subjects and world events not covered by mainstream media, and not supported by YouTube guidelines. So whatever I have on my Patreon, most of those will not be on my YouTube channel. Please consider becoming a member today. More of the most significant and important videos will be on my Patreon channel. Your support helps me to continue my research and keeps this YouTube channel alive. And we depend on your support, your generous charity, because we help economically challenged families here in Athens, Greece, in Kapota, and we also help the young generation with university tuition and the community around our church. Thank you.